Hello friends, in this chapter we will explore the STAAD.Pro in bit more detail, and we will see different aspects of the STAAD.Pro that might come handy in the modeling of any structure. Let us open a new project, and as I've already told you many times, please make the configuration as per your requirement. We will open a new project, so click on new project, and here click on space option, and let us name this structure as a structure wizard. In this video we will see what a structure wizard is and how we can use it to model our structures. After naming the file, choose the location where you want to save this file. Choose the units. I have chosen the length unit as the meter and the force unit as the kilonewton. After that, click on next. Here choose add beam. Add beam option allows you to define nodes and the members to draw your structure. From here also you can start the structure wizard, but I'll show you how to open the structure wizard from the main window itself. Okay. After doing this much of work, click on finish. And this window opens. Let us close this snap node beam option. To open the structure wizard, we have to go to the geometry menu. Let us go to the geometry menu. Click on geometry option here, left click, and after that just go down. At the bottom portion you will see run structure wizard option. Left click on it. Here you can see that different models of the truss are available that you can use in your structure. First we will see the frame models. For that, click on this drop down menu over here, model type, and from here choose the frame models. Here you can see different templates of the frame models. First one is the bay frame. We'll see these other options later. Let us first see the bay frame, and double click on it, and over here this dialog box opens. Model name is bay frame, and the length, height and width is given. Also over here you can see number of bays along the length, number of bays along the height, number of bays along the width. So what are these? I'll explain to you. Let me just cancel this for now and minimize this window and open my sketchbook. Okay, here you can see that we got, suppose, a building. Okay, and this is the height of the building and this is the length, and let me draw another portion, and this is another column, and this is over here is another column, and this is the ground level. Okay, and suppose that this is your x direction and this is your y direction and this is your z direction, and this is our first floor slab, this is the second floor slab, this is the third floor slab. Similarly we got columns in the z direction as well. If I draw it, look like this. Okay, this is our building, and we got column here as well and another column. Let us suppose we got two columns only. If I have to draw the plan of this structure, then you can see that this is the first column, second column, third column, fourth column in the x direction, and in the z direction I got 1, 2 and 3 grids. Okay, so one grid, this is already available. Second grid I'm drawing here, second grid is this, and third grid is this one. This is the plan of this building. This is your x direction, this is your z direction. Okay, and this over here is the y direction. The length option that you saw in the STAAD.Pro is from here to here in the x direction. So this is the length in the x direction, and this is the length in the z direction, and this over here, the height of your building, is the length in the y direction. Okay, and number of bays means how many bays you want. This is one bay, this is another bay, this is another bay. So we got 3 bays here in the X direction, and here also in the Z direction, how many bays we got? We got 1, 2 bays. And in the Y direction, how many bays we got? We got 1, 2, 3 and 4 bays. So in this way, how your structure is and how you want to define your structure, you can define the bays. Now we will define a structure where the length in the X direction will be, okay, so length in the X direction, it will be 16 meter, and in the Z direction it will be 16 meters. Number of bays, if I got a number of bays as 4, then length of each bay will be 16 divided by 4, that is 4. So length of each bay will be 4 meter, 4 meter, 4 meter and 4 meter. We got 4 bays and total length is 16. Similarly in the Z also we will define 4 bays, and in the Y axis what we'll do, we'll define total height as 20 meters. Okay, let's do as 21 meter, and number of bays will be 7, so that height of each bay is 3 meters. H is 3 meter of each floor. Now let us do that, and let us go to the STAAD.Pro and open our structure wizard as we did earlier, and here a bay frame, again double click on it. The length in the X direction is 16 meters, and the height means the length in the Y direction, which is 21 meter, and width, that is the length in the Z direction, is also 16 meter. Just to differentiate what is the length and what is the width, let us take width as 20 meter, and let us take number of bays as 5 number of bays, so that each bay is of 4 meters, and number of bays along the height is 7, so that each floor is of 3 meters height. And click on apply. Here you can see our structure has been defined, and if we see here, then you can see that along the Z axis we got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 bays, which means that the width that the structure wizard talks about is the length along the Z axis. Similarly we got length along the X axis, that is here. So this is along the X axis, and it has got 1, 2, 3 and 4 bays, and along the Y axis we got 7 bays. Now we have just defined this template of the frame. Now we have to put it in our modeling window. For that, what you have to do, go to edit and click on add paste model in STAAD.Pro. Left click on it. Here it says, would you like to transfer merge this prototype into STAAD.Pro? You have to press yes. As we defined the frame had got the origin, and here also we know that this structure window has also got the origin. So here it asks you where you want to put the origin of the template we just defined, where you want to put that. So if you put X is equal to 0, Y is equal to 0, Z is equal to 0, means that the frame that we defined just now, the origin of that frame and the origin of our modeling window will coincide. They will be placed at the same position. And right now we don't have any origin because we haven't defined any node, so it won't matter. Just click on OK, and here you can see that we got our frame placed in our modeling window. If you select the node cursor, so let us select the node cursor, and if you double click on this node over here, so double click on this, okay, just save it, double click on this node. Here it says X is 0, Y is 0 and Z is also 0, which means that this is the origin of this frame as well as the origin of our modeling window. And click on close. This is how you can use structure wizard in order to define a frame. Now after you have defined the frame, all you have to do is go to general option and define the property of the beam and frame, define the supports, apply the loads, and move further into the structural design of this frame. In normal practice, the buildings are not this regular. Suppose that if a bay is of 5 meters in the X direction, the next bay will be of 4 meters or 2 meters if it is a corridor, and the next bay is of 6 meters. Real life buildings are not regular. That is why I do not prefer to use this structure wizard option. I always prefer to model my structure by defining the nodes manually from here. Moving on, let us see other options that are available in the structure wizard. Just click on this window. After that, press Ctrl A and delete whatever you have defined and click on OK. It will delete everything that you have defined so far and click on yes. Now let us see other options. Go to geometry again and click on run structure wizard option that is available at the bottom, and from here model type select the frame models. The bay frame that you just saw here, you can see that the bottom columns are not connected, the lowermost columns are not connected to each other. In the grid frame the lowermost columns are connected, that you can see. If you just left click on it and just click on apply, you can see that the lowermost columns are also connected. Okay, and if you want this type of frame you can use this option. Next one is the floor grid option, and if you left click on it and click on apply, you can see you got only the floor. In these two cases we had the entire frame, but in the floor grid option we just have a single floor. Similarly you can define the continuous beam as well, or the cylindrical frame, and if you double click on the cylindrical frame, length, okay, let's take 20. What is the radius of the cylinder? You want 5. And angle, how much you want. Right now angle is 360 degree, and number of base length, let us keep default values right now. You can practice with other values and see what happens if you use different values. Click on apply. Here you can see that you got a full cylinder. Okay, and here you can see number of base, what it means. So this is the Z axis, this is the X axis, and this over here is the Y axis. So it means that it is like this. This structure is like this. Suppose that you got a frame and you want a dome over the frame, something like this. If you want any structure, okay, something like this, let me draw it. Okay, so suppose that this is your frame, this is your frame, okay, this is your frame, and you want to have a dome like this on the roof of it. This dome expands throughout, okay, and this is the dome. This is the dome you want on the top of your frame. In that case you can use this. How? I'll show you. Here just select the cylindrical frame and give the angle as 180 degree, and choose the number of base along the length and number of base along the periphery as per your requirement, and click on apply. You can see that you got a half dome like structure. Okay, similarly you can see the circular beam and reverse cylindrical frame also. Try to play around these options, what are they and how they can be useful to you. After looking at the frame templates, let us see some of the truss templates also. Go to geometry menu and go to run structure wizard. From here let us first define a frame, and after that we will place a truss on the top of that frame. Let us define a frame model. Let us define a bay frame. Double click on it, and length is 12. Let us keep that as default. Height is 15, width is 12, and let us keep these things as default and click on apply. After that, if you just close this window, it will again ask you whether or not you want to import the frame into your model. Click on yes and click on OK. We got a frame here. Now we will place a truss on the top of this. For that you have to remember that if this is your frame, and suppose that this is the front view of frame, then you make sure that the vertical members that you got of the truss, they lie perfectly on the columns, so that the load is transferred accurately to the columns and the beam don't take much of the load. Okay, you have to make sure of this thing while you design the truss, and therefore what we have to do is that while we define the truss, we have to place the vertical members here, 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 here and here, which means that we got this is 4 meter, 4 meter, 4 meter and 4 meter. So we will define the truss according to this frame. Now let us go to geometry and click on run structure wizard, and let us define the Pratt truss, and you can play around with the other trusses as well. Let us define this. Length is 12 meters, okay, as per the building. Height is, let us take the height as 2 meter, and let us take the width as 0 for now. And number of bays along the length, we got 4 bays, just like the frame, and click on apply. So we got a truss, and after that just close this and press yes. Now you have to select the point where you want to put your truss. Either you can give the coordinate of this joint, we want to put a truss from here, or you can just select the reference point. So click on reference point and click on OK. It tells you that where the origin of this truss is. Click on OK, and let us select the reference point here and click on OK. Click on OK again click on OK. You can see that you got a truss over here. And if you want to place the truss in this portion also, you can just click on node, left click on it, and after that click on OK. Again click on OK and click on OK. You can see that you got truss there as well. And if you want to place the truss here on this node, then what you can do, you can again click on this node and click on OK. Click on OK again and click on OK. You got truss there as well. After that select this node. So Z was 6, Z is 9 meters now, Y is 15, and X is still 0. And click on OK and click on OK. And the final one, this one, Z is 12, Y is 15, X is 0, which means that we have selected the correct node. And click on OK. OK and OK. Now let us see the rendered view of this structure. First press escape. We are now in the normal mode. To see the rendered view of this structure, select the entire structure. You must have this selected, beams cursor option selected, and after that left click here and select everything on your window. After that click on this pyramid icon over here that says 3D rendered view. Left click on it. You will get a rendered window. Okay, just double click on that window to maximize it. Right now we haven't defined the section of the members, that is why all the members are acting as a line. Okay, if we define the section of the members, in that case the section sizes will also be rendered. And if I just rotate this by holding the left mouse button, left click anywhere and drag your mouse, and you can see that you got the truss on the roof. After this much of work, let us go to General tab. Another method that you can define the truss is, alright, so let us remove all these trusses. For that I'll just click on Ctrl Z for undo. Okay, all my trusses are gone. Again I'll go to geometry menu and go to Run Structure Wizard, and over here let me select the wall and truss this time. Length is, I'll take 12 meters, height is again I'll take 2 meters, and the width here again I'll take 12 meters, which matches with the width of our frame. A number of bays along the length is 4 and number of bays along the width is also 4. And if we click on apply, then you can see this kind of truss. Normally in trusses these nodes are always connected, they are not free. Before the truss is placed in its actual position, all the trusses are separate, and once the trusses are placed in their position and bolted to the beam, after that they are connected with the pipes so that they are much more stable. So if you want this kind of truss, you can define this way. Alright, and after that let us just close this window and click on yes, and here choose the reference point option and click on OK. It shows the origin is here, and click on OK, and left click on this and click on OK over here. After that click on OK, and again click on OK. you can see that. Just press escape and select everything and go to render by clicking on this pyramid option. Left click on it. Okay, and you can see that the truss has been placed on the top of our frame. So this is how you define the truss, and this is how you place the truss.